Today, we're going to take a close look at the profound transformation underway in management consulting. We'll explore how artificial intelligence is not just an incremental improvement, but a fundamental force reshaping the industry's entire value proposition. As AI commoditizes data analysis, consulting is witnessing a pivotal move away from packaging knowledge into slides toward a much more complex value added offer to clients. This video will chart that journey and potential implications for consulting firms and professionals. So it's not just the work that consultants do, but the structure of the business itself may be turned upside down. The consulting business model is typically oriented as a pyramid, like many organizations. At the top, you have partners who manage client relationships and set strategy. The wide base is comprised of junior and senior associates spending up to maybe 80% of their time on market research, data cleaning, spreadsheet development, slide development, all these things. And the value proposition is clear. Clients pay for the brute force of this analysis and this manpower, and in many cases, they pay for access to proprietary data and solutions. So, how is this being turned upside down? With AI entering the picture, tasks that form the bedrock of a consultant's job are being automated. Market research that took a team days can now be done by AI in the matter of a few minutes. So, with this ability, consulting firms in the future may have flatter structures with the partners at the top, a team of AI savvy consultants in the middle, and one app to rule them all at the bottom. So is this actually happening? In fact, we're seeing what I think is the beginning of this potential transition into the future of consulting. So there are a few examples of companies doing just that, inverting their pyramids in some ways and going back to the strategic basics of consulting, or the basics of consulting with just a focus on strategy. So look at McKinsey, which has frozen starting salaries for new hires and is now focusing their talent development on AI skill sets. PwC, similarly, recently abandoned its massive headcount growth target, acknowledging that future productivity will come from AI tools, not just more people. And then for Accenture, which is now aggressively pivoting its entire workforce toward AI-led delivery. So all of these examples and many more out there show that the role of consultant analysis is being reconfigured. And so then the question remains, what are consultants becoming? So here's a picture of what the future of consulting may look like. Consultants' work will be more about being orchestrators of intelligence. This role gives rise to an entirely new set of activities, such as you have the architect of intelligence, who builds custom AI models for clients. You have a bias auditor, a sort of hybrid data scientist, and even including ethicists considerations, who ensures that the AI's black box isn't flawed and is giving the right output, giving the right information. And then you have the prompt engineer, already a job title that we hear more and more about, who masters the art of asking strategic questions to AI systems. So in that way, this work is no longer about directly finding the answer, but about designing the system that finds the answer and interprets output with nuance. But despite AI's analytical power, it still has limitations. So this is where human value is still very important and perhaps becoming more pronounced than ever. For example, AI could calculate a 51% chance of success of a project or a merger or some other activity, but it cannot give genuine assurances to a business leader, to the client, that the risk is worth taking. It can solve a defined problem, but it still takes a human to correctly frame the undefined, the real problem and true complexity in most business situations. And most importantly, AI cannot navigate the complex web of office politics and human emotion required to implement change. So in a world of seemingly infinite data, the truly scarce resources are more and more becoming accountability, judgment, and the courage to act. So this brings us to a new paradigm, the centaur consultant. Like the mythical creature, this professional is a hybrid, combining the speed and processing power of AI with uniquely human judgment and wisdom. The consultant rides on the back of AI for 100 times faster execution, but provides the critical steering and the ethical oversight and the emotional intelligence to choose the right path and the conviction to drive organizational change. The value proposition then is transformed. Clients no longer pay for hours of research and analysis. They pay for validated decisions and support to see them through to execution. So, what then can we expect in the near future? First, we'll probably start to see a profound value shift from research hours to strategic judgment. This raises critical questions for firms about their business models and how they will develop junior talent. Talk more about that in a few minutes. And then the relationship with clients will also evolve, potentially creating dependency on the proprietary AI systems that consultants build. And AI will essentially be the engine generating scenarios or finding targets, but the human consultant remains in the steering position, selecting the right path and navigating the human element of execution. There are a few questions that consulting firms will need to answer in order to enhance their value-added offer in the context of AI. First is regarding the business model transformation. So how do consultants fundamentally shift the revenue model from billing for hours of research and analysis to value-based model that charges a premium for strategic judgment and leadership and on the outcomes delivered by the human/AI teams? Secondly, regarding talent development, with entry-level analytical tasks now being automated, how can consulting firms redesign the talent pipeline to cultivate the next generation of consultants? With new training programs and career paths are needed in order to develop the skills in orchestration and the management of AI systems. And finally, with respect to the service offering, what new AI-powered services can consulting firms create that move beyond delivering static reports, and how can consultants position themselves to act as partners who build, implement, and maintain client-specific intelligence systems which can provide ongoing value? So, as an example of how all of this might work together, and we're beginning to see examples even in recent work that I've done as how AI can be used. So, you start out generating, for example, commercial scenarios based on global trends, or identifying inefficiencies in data, or scanning thousands of companies for predetermined characteristics, and even coding a new application. So the human then comes in as the consultant, is still the one who defines the parameters, accounts for the impact of culture, and assesses non-quantifiable factors that helps to navigate the complexities of the client's situation. So the question remains, as I mentioned a few minutes ago, how do early career consultants learn the basic business skills on the tasks that AI will be taking over? So there's some talk about that, and I think there needs to be more discussion, quite frankly. And this is quite important for the future of consulting and the future of all these young college graduates who just come out and are looking to make their way in the world. And if they don't know the AI skills, they themselves will be in a bit of trouble. But near as I can tell, the younger generation, they're doing just fine with that. And in many ways, it's probably just like 100 years ago. I mean, by my age, I probably should have known how to plant vegetables, butcher a chicken, start a fire. I mean, I can start a fire, but have to do that every day just to cook my food. So now all I need to do is learn to cook it thoroughly and not add too much salt. So altogether, an easier life I have. So the real question here is then, will the universities adjust their curriculum quickly enough to accommodate the new demands of the workforce? So that may be a topic for another video, but I find that question quite fascinating to see how universities are going to adjust, if they're going to adjust quickly enough, or if many ways the ability to self-learn AI and AI systems is going to make universities essentially obsolete. So until then, all the best on your AI journey, and have a great day ahead.